What's up, y'all? Alan checking in. I know it's been a few days, sorry for the lack of videos. It's just been, again, super crappy. In Chicago, it's freezing again today. I think it's like 11 degrees without wind chill. I got a note to myself not to quote anything on wind chill values, because apparently I made everybody pretty upset here doing that on the last couple of videos, which is ridiculous, because cold is cold, people. I don't care if it's below zero. With wind chill or without wind chill. From a human perspective, it still sucks. So it looks like it's about 14 according to the truck. I do not have it plugged in here, and not too bad from a preheat process. Still getting that stupid warning from the headlights, and I know people were asking me what kind they were. I thought I hit the box somewhere. Here we go. So at this point, I don't think I would recommend them, and I might be switching them out for the Morimoto or Morimoto or something like that. Let's get the exhaust brake on here. But yeah, that's the brand off Amazon. I found it on the Cummins forums, and you know, they just don't seem to be consistently working when it gets really cold. So, but let's get this thing warmed up. I'm just gonna go drop some stuff off with the dry cleaner, and then I'm gonna get this thing washed up and do a little work from the car wash. It hasn't been washed probably in a couple months, honestly, because when, you know, snowing and salty and rainy and crappy, and there's just really no point with it sitting in the driveway, and you know, salt and snow always being on the road for the last, you know, handful of weeks or so. So today the point of the video will be I'm going to give you guys my review of what I think of the Calibrated Power Solutions tune that we had done a few weeks ago on the old MM3. So that'll be the point of today's video. I have almost well over 1,500 miles on it. I want to say approaching 2,000 miles on it, and we took it on a trip up to Minneapolis, and yeah, so I'm just going to give you guys a little review and let you know what I think. But we'll check back in once we get this thing cleaned up and get this stuff dropped off, and let you know what I think of the tune. Alright, y'all, what's up? 2 hours later, we're done. So, but I think it was worth it. Like I said, I hadn't had this thing washed, like really washed properly, probably since I did it last fall, other than a couple, you know, of those basically touchless drive-through car washes. So thanks Delta Sonic and my guy that got it all cleaned up. It looks awesome, so he did a great job. The interior's perfect. I mean, this is the cleanest it's been, honestly, probably since it was brand new. So I'm gonna shut that since the sun's coming in here. But yeah, let's go ahead and run through the 5 things that I absolutely love about my 2018 Dodge Ram Cummins 2500 that once again has been tuned by Calibrated Power Solutions. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll link it right here so that way you guys can check it out. But basically Chris Emke and the guys over there did an awesome job with it, and I've at this point, like I said, put over 1,500 miles on it, and it's been flawless. We've taken it to Minnesota on a pretty good sized road trip, and it's been to Iowa, and it's been to a couple other places over the holidays. you know, over the last few weeks here. So with that being said, I've had zero problems with it whatsoever. I've been running it on the sport tune since I got it, which is the third best, or the third most powerful tune. But so far, the MM3 has been great. I love the interface and the usability and how easy it is, and the different dashboards and things that you can plug in terms of data points. But I think my favorite thing, you guys would probably think I'd choose power, but I'm gonna have to say the smoothness, the delivery of the power. You know, when you give it a little bit of a throttle, it goes a little bit. When you give it a little bit more, it goes a little bit more. It's not just like an on-off switch or all or nothing like Chris was talking about when he tuned it. So I would definitely say the smoothness of the shifts and the transmission specifically. I honestly think the transmission shifts better than it did stock. Especially under load when you're kind of getting on it and the torque converter's locked up and it's really moving. So definitely I think number one on my list would be smoothness, and the way the power comes on, the way the transmission shifts. And like I said, I honestly can't tell a difference from stock, other than obviously when you get in it, it's got a lot more power. So and like I said, I think it's a little bit smoother on the transmission shifts than it was previously. So number two on my list, it looks like I got my list down here, is that it's still quiet. So I was really worried, or I wasn't really worried, I was worried initially when I talked about tuning the truck, you know, and deleting it and doing all that stuff. I didn't really want to be rolling coal, and I didn't want it to be obnoxiously loud, since we do depend on this thing for, you know, on a daily basis, and I'm going to be towing across the country in it, in terms of bringing the Evo to the tracks. So as much as, you know, the car guy in me and the power guy and the loud guy, I mean, trust me, I wanted it to be louder and cooler and sound, you know, badass. But once again, with Sam driving it and with us using it for, you know, daily use and towing, I just didn't want to, you know, deal with drone and smoking people out in traffic, and it just wasn't for me, to be honest with you. If this wasn't something that I had to depend on, you know, on a day-to-day basis, and wasn't going to be towing across country with it, then, you know, maybe we would do the delete and put the 5-inch exhaust on it and start rolling coal. So I know a lot of you guys wanted the delete, and we still may do it at some point. You know, I've been told in the comments and been talking to more diesel folks that, you know, you don't have to roll coal necessarily, and you don't have to be obnoxiously loud. You can run resonators and mufflers, but I think I'm just happy with keeping the emissions equipment and pretty much keeping the car stock for the most part, other than the tune with the MM3 and Calibrated power solutions. So next up on my list is going to be power delivery. Probably should be number one overall, because let's be real, that's why I tuned it. But it's definitely power delivery. I mean, this thing has seriously got some balls for a big truck. I can't really get on it right now because we're in the neighborhood, but it definitely has some cojones, some balls. Not quite sure what it makes to the wheels on the sport tune. I know on the race tune it's about 450, 460 wheel horsepower, and then it's about 950 torque to the wheels is what Chris and those guys have seen, you know, with this platform. So I can't remember what it was on the third tune, but like I said, I haven't tried the race tune yet. I can only imagine it's a lot more fun and crazy. So I think I'd really like to, down the road, do the transmission stuff and upgrade the converter, and then whatever it is to get the line pressure up. I think there's some type of mod that we can do to the actual pump that feeds the transmission and keeps that line pressure up, which is monitored with those 2 gauges right there. So and then we could do the race tune and go for over 500 wheel and max out the stock turbo and whatnot. So but that's going to be definitely a down the road thing, either later this year or possibly next year. My focus right now, I think, for this thing is going to be just, you know, doing some things like tires and maybe doing a leveling kit and a couple other things, but just more cosmetic. You know, finish the lighting and things like that, and get some HID lights that fucking work. But that's a story for another day. And I know the guys on the forums are going to tell me, or guys in the comments are going to tell me, to get that alpha OBD thing, and I will get it, and hopefully it does work with these lights. But honestly, I think I'm just gonna pay a little bit more, and you know what they say, you pay for what you get, and there's a reason that this is such a good deal in my opinion. And and obviously isn't working flawlessly. The headlight's not working again right now, so which is weird because it worked for like the first 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're gonna go install the rest of them next week with Adam, and now they're not working. So that's kind of frustrating, but I guess it is what it is. So but we're getting home here, and I know this video is getting long, so let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Pulling back in here. Finally, the ice and snow is melting the last couple days after the latest storm. But next up on the list, and the final two things I should say, got my little list here. But the next up on the list is the gas mileage. So let's go ahead and look at it. Honestly, I was expecting the gas mileage to, just because of me driving it with a lead foot, and this is still since I bought the car. So when we went up to Minnesota, took it up to Minneapolis, I was actually seeing about 22 miles per gallon on the highway when I wasn't beating on it. But this is still not bad considering we're in the middle of winter and I'm using things like the exhaust brake to warm it up. So I would say that the mileage has stayed about the same. This thing's been anywhere between 14 and 17 miles per gallon since I bought it, just depending on, you know, what type of driving we're doing. But I think overall the gas mileage is probably about the same. So anybody out there thinking they're going to buy a tuner or get their truck tuned, whether they delete it or not, I think it really still comes down to how you drive it and how much throttle you're giving it. So, but once again, mileage is about the same. So, final thing on the old list here, and I know I briefly talked about it in the beginning of the video, is this MM3 right here. I really love this thing, guys. It is awesome. The dashboard, the ability. I did throw a code on the way back from Minneapolis, and I was able to go in there. As you can see, you're able to read trouble codes. You're able to clear them. You're able to adjust things like the tire pressure sensors and what you want the pressure to be set at without the light coming on. You can read ABS and ECM codes, obviously. You can see right there. But like I said, it's completely customizable. You know, you got 4 different dashboards you can choose from, which is really neat in terms of what data points you're seeing. So right now you got throttle position sensor, what percentage of throttle you're giving it, basically. You can see there, and then it's got a few other things. But if you just hit back, you can go to like the previous gauge right here. So if you didn't like this one, you know, there's quite a few set up, and you can customize all these dashboards. So I prefer this one. You know, we have our gear there, we have RPM, throttle position, how much boost we got, and then the line pressure in terms of what's requested and what it actually gets. So if those two numbers are different right there, you know you have a problem, and that basically the trans isn't getting enough line pressure and it's slipping itself probably. So but yeah, to wrap it up here, I definitely think the MM3 was the right way to go. I like that you didn't have to hack up any of the factory wiring, and basically it's a plug and play affair. So far so good. Once again, 1,500 miles, maybe a little bit more, maybe 1,600, but I absolutely would highly recommend the Calibrated Power Solutions tune. I think those guys are great. This thing has ran like a champ. You know, other than that engine light that I got back coming back from Minnesota. I think it was just a bad tank of gas. The trouble code was something about a NOx sensor not reading right or something like that. I cleared the code and it hasn't come back, and about 2 or 3 tanks of gas. So I'm not sure if it was just bad gas and me beating on it. I had to put that diesel 2 in it, so they didn't have the diesel 1 at a couple of the stations in the middle of nowhere just because of the cold that we get around here. So I think that's gonna wrap it up. I hope you guys like this type of stuff and you guys are continuing to like the Ram content. It seems to be somehow the most popular vehicle I have on the channel, which was not, you know, intentional by any means. I was hoping that the Evo and the MR2 and things of that nature would be the favorites, but you guys seem to love this truck, so we're gonna keep rolling with it, keep taking care of it, modifying it. Probably gonna do the tires over the next couple weeks here. Right now I'm still kind of leaning towards the Nittos, but I'm able to get a discount on the Goodyear Duratrax in the stock size, so there is a chance I may not do the plus size and I might just stick with the 285/60/20 and go with the Duratrax. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get a deal on the Ridge Grapplers and do the plus size, the 295/65/20, and see if those will fit in the front on the stock suspension. If they don't, then we can do the leveling kit. But comment below, let me know what you guys think in terms of tires. I know some of you guys like the Toyos, I think the Open Countries, and then the Nittos, but I understand the Nittos and the Toyos are owned by the same company, in essence kind of the same tires. So It's really between those two and then the Goodyear Duratrack and the stock size, keep in mind. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll probably check back in either this weekend or early next week with updates on the Evo. We'll be up at Adams at least a couple days next week, and we'll have updates with welding and all kinds of cool stuff with that. So stay tuned, and appreciate the support. You guys have a good weekend. Peace.